Okay, welcome back to the Aquarium Domain Fish Basement. In this episode, we are going to take a look at the 750-gallon Amazonian Islands build. We're going to be upgrading the lighting system on it. We're going to just basically go through the whole system, show you everything that's changed over the last few months, and you know, we'll take a quick peek at a couple of other tanks too, because there's always things going on. So let's jump right into it. Okay, now we're going to have a video coming up on the Malawi tank here real soon. This is the 125-gallon Malawi River Aquarium. These are mostly African and Buna, but there are also these river African jewel cichlids mixed in with them, and happy to say the experiment is going well. You can see when this tank was first set up, you know, all on the substrate there, we had all that. We put new substrate over old substrate, and we had a lot of I don't know, basically algae growth, detritus, everything like that. But the flow and the fish have cleaned it all up. These guys really like to pick at that stuff, so I don't mind them cleaning up on the algae. That always is very nice. And as you can see, our plant growth, I would say, it's, you know, there is growth, and some of these plants you'll find out later in the video where they came from. So they're kind of rehabbing, and this has always been the rehab tank. So overall, everything going good in the Malawi tank, and we're going to have an update on this tank real soon. And of course, we got to take a quick look at the flooded forest 220-gallon Amazon build with our beautiful discus. It's been about 10 minutes since I fed these guys, so they're probably hungry again. So let's see if we can give them a little bit of food. Okay, fingers going in, and discus eating from fingers. You know, actually, a lot of my fish would do that as well, especially the Mbuna. But yeah, just loving these guys. You can kind of tell I'm a little giddy with both the Malawi aquarium and with the flooded forest. I'm loving the discus, and I'm loving the African cichlids. You know, these are both fish that I hadn't kept before, or hadn't kept much in the past. So just been really enjoying having them. You know, it's a nice change of pace. Normally I keep a lot of big cichlids and that sort of thing. So it's kind of nice to have these guys. Happy to say, still going great, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the upgrading of the lights for the 750 Amazonian Islands build. So what I want to do is, before we put the new lights on, let's take a look at the tank with the old lights. We'll cover everything that's transpired since the aquarium went live, and then you'll get your last look at the tank with the new lights, and then we'll go ahead and put the new lights on, and we'll make a few changes that I'll talk about once you see the tank. And yeah, we'll get to see if the lighting upgrade was worth it. Okay, the double DIY builds, the 600 Asian Jungle with the new lights on the right, and the 750 Amazonians with the old lights on the left. So for anyone who doesn't remember, the Amazonian Islands build, it's 5 feet from front to back. It's a very, very deep tank. It keeps going past this pole back there. It is deep. And it is 6 feet long, you know, from left to right, and then 3 feet tall. Kind of another view of the how deep back it goes. And as you can see, it just has these strip lights on it, and it's been running the same amount of time as the 600. So a few months from when this went live. I mean, probably, what do we have, 4 or 5 months now? And of course, there's been a lot of changes. So the number one change has been growth. Everyone is getting big in here. The Geos went ahead and they're getting close to their max size. They've really put on some size since they've been in here. The smaller Severum, while not full size by any stretch of the imagination, they put on a lot of size since they were first added to this aquarium. And even the Angels, they were already pretty big, but they've got even bigger in the 750, as well as, of course, the Akara, the new additions, and really everybody. It's just been, everyone's just been getting thick. Oh, I guess I can't forget the true parrot cichlids. Well, they also have a long ways to go. They're the same as a Severum. They grew quite a bit since they've been in here, and they thickened up quite a bit. So we knew with Amazonian Islands, we were trying to cluster the plants on the rock formation, on the islands, because we know these guys, when they feed, they're rooting around in the sand. They're big bodies. They're going to muscle plants around. Some of these guys are going to eat plants, so there's always a risk, right, when you're putting live plants with these kind of fish. So I alluded to earlier in the video in the Malawi aquarium where a bunch of those plants came from. Well, they came from here because if you remember, there used to be 4 islands. Big island in the back left, big island in the back right, and then 2 in the front here. And as you can see on the front left, that island is devoid of plants, right? So those plants all got knocked off by these guys or beaten up by these guys. So I took them out and moved them over and put them into the Malawi aquarium. And it was easy to get them because they knocked them up and they floated right to the surface. So, you know, I took them, they put over there, the plants have been rescued and they're all coming back. They even did things like this, where this wood and this plant was originally all the way in the back, and it got moved to here, then to here, they pushed it up here. So this is one of the things we're gonna do today. We're gonna take this wood and plant and we're gonna relocate it back over on this other Amazonian island. And then lastly, the front island over here, they pretty much, so this rock was actually over here, and that's a big rock, and no, the fish didn't push it, but what they did do was they dug underneath the wood and everything that was suspending it over here, and they eroded its foundation, and it fell back over here. So we're gonna do something with that. I guess I'll probably go ahead and put it back to where it used to be, but obviously I won't have it as elevated as before because they'll just dig it out again. And then this wood and this plant back here that's sort of slid forward, we'll get that back up onto that back island, because what we're gonna be doing when we add the new lights is we're going to be focusing big 100-watt spot beams right on this island and right on that island. So, and because this tank is so deep front to back, you know, there's a lot of sort of dark area. Like you sort of see way in the back there, you've got a red-eye tetra, and he's really hard to see. You know, it gets dark back in those corners. So one thing we found with the 600-gallon is that the new lights really, really illuminate the water column, and that's what the 750 really needs, because it's got some serious dark spots. You really cannot appreciate the depth of this aquarium, and we're going to try to fix that. So we're going to go with, now, well, I should say, these new lights are configurable. So because I can swap in out whatever size I want, I can put 100s, 150s, 50s, 30s, I can custom configure. So I have, on the 600-gallon, I have 100s on the left and right, but only 50s in the middle. And actually just kind of a view of how it lights up the water column. You can see how much brighter the water column is all the way in the back versus the 750 where it's much darker, you know, up around the corners and the very back. So we're going to go on the 750, the bigger lights, the 100s, all the way across the back. We're going to really illuminate the back of the tank, and then we're going to run 50s across the middle. Now we're going to leave this front part not directly illuminated, but just what it gets from the middle. So we're gonna push that light back. We're gonna really try to accentuate the 5 feet of front to back that we have on this aquarium to really show it off. And we're really gonna target those islands because we need to get this lush growth going. We need to really light up those islands, get these plants going, and you know, again, we knew with this tank, with these cichlids, we're going to have to make adjustments, and they pretty much tell us what those adjustments are. When I feed them, the food ends up in this area here, and this area's got to be clear. This is where they eat. They're all sand sifters, you know, so that's just the way it's got to be. So we're going to do that. We're going to move this over, clean this up. We're going to clean this aisleway up here because I want to have them be able to swim through the back of there. We're going to make this look like a proper island over here on the right, and of course we're going to get the new lights on. So I got a little bit of work cut out for me. Let me get that done, and we'll be right back and we'll see the results. You know, it almost doesn't seem fair to feed the discus and show that and not show feeding the Malawi cichlids, because you know, they're equally fun, and of course they will eat right out of my hands as well. But we'll go ahead and put some pellets in here. So not only will the Mbuna and the Malawi get it, but the catfish that are in here. There's also 3 Synodontis eruptus catfish, and I believe we can see one right there. And yeah, they're putting on some real size, and they really love these pellets. So another one over here is smelt the pellets, see if he'll come out. Gonna try to see where all the Synodontis cats are. As you can see, they have a really, really nice area to move about underneath all this rock and wood and plants. So they definitely go through all these caves. It is very cool. In fact, it's also, I think, one of the big things that helps with the Mbuna or the African cichlids is that there's so many nooks and crannies, so many sight breaks. So far, no real tank boss has developed here. This one yellow lab is the closest thing to one, but he's not been bad, so it has been good. Definitely super enjoying this aquarium. And oh, there's another Synodontis. Man, they are hard to catch. All right, let's get back to the 750. So the lights have the new lights have just been on for a couple minutes. You can still see a bunch of particles in the water column that I stirred up, moving everything around down here. I just wanted to show you, right after, just the effect, with the fish and everything. So as you can tell, they've moved back from the front of the tank. They're kind of like, what's going on? All the schooling fish, they've started to school up, for protection. Something's changed. They're a little concerned, so they're grouping up in numbers, all the different groups of schooling fish staying together. Even these guys. Now, of course, the Cory cats, they're like, oh, sweet, he moved some stuff around. Let's see if there's any food under there. So they're not worried about it. But yeah, everyone's coming back out. It's like I said, it's just been a couple minutes. You see a lot of particulate up in the water column, from me dragging this around, clearing out those plants. So you see where that one Geophagus is right there? That's all opened up now. And that is a much larger channel than it may look like. Let me see if we can get up and look down on it. That's pretty big back there for these big guys to go through. So we got this rock stable. It's a little hard to do too much with it. There was a bunch of plecos underneath it, and I was trying to move it around. They didn't want to move, so I was like, you know what? Let me just get it stable, slide it over to the right a little bit, because I don't really trust suspending it up like I have it, because these guys are just going to undermine it. But as you can see, just after a few minutes, they're all coming back out now. They've got the camera in their face. They're not bothered by it. They're just taking advantage, grabbing a little bit of the debris. So, okay, I'm gonna give this a little bit of time to settle in, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at everything. I mean, just how the lights affects it. I mean, definitely right now, it's lit up the water column along the back. That is a lot better. You can see those schooling fish back there. Definitely a lot cooler. But yeah, let's let the filter do its job. I'll come back in 30 minutes, and then we'll see what it looks like with some clear water. Okay, you see they've had a little bit of time to settle down. You see the schooling fish, they've spread out more. They're comfortable that the change isn't a bad change, and they've all adjusted. You see everybody's back here in the front expecting food. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give them some food, and then we'll go over what I'm seeing here. Okay, well, these guys munch down. The obvious thing at the very beginning is the water column. Just like the other tank, these lights are lighting up the water column a lot more than the old lights. The other thing is the depth. I don't know on video, but here looking at it, you can really see the depth a lot better. Looking back through those channels, looking underneath there, just definitely helping with that. Also, I think what's going to bear out over time is that being able to position those lights, basically target lighting those back Amazonian islands, should kick off the growth of this Java fern and Anubias. That's actually what's happened to the 600 gallon. Even though those lights have only been on there a week or so, there's already sprouts coming out everywhere. Well, let me show you that real quick. So looking over at the 600 gallon, you're seeing lots of new growth sprouting out really everywhere, all across these plants. In the back, the ones at the back sprouting off new ones, really everywhere. You're starting to see bright green off in the corners. So it's really having an effect. The other thing that may be not as noticeable is the sort of reddish brown algae that was growing all over everything. It's starting to slough off now. So with the lighting change, I don't know if it's not conducive to growing it or what, but it is breaking off. Areas that used to be covered, like on that rock, now you're seeing it, break apart. You can see the rock. Probably what's happening is it's dying off with the lighting change, and the fish are eating it. But either way, we're starting to see green, which is good, because this this tank needs a lot of green. But at any rate, just after a short period of time, we're seeing the lights make a difference. So as we jump back over to the 750, I really hope we get the same sort of difference with the Anubias and the Java fern in the back there. I really want those islands to be just lush clusters of plants, like basically true islands, full of plants, and with the big open spaces that we have, with the overhang. Definitely, I like all that stuff. I'm definitely enjoying the hardscape here. The fish forced me to correct my design and give them more room than I originally gave them. We knew that would be the case with cichlids, that they'll prove out your design for your aquascape, because if they need more room, they will make themselves more room.
Man, those Cory cats, they're getting big. I don't know how they come off on camera, but they are fat and big. But it's nice. A nice little school, these guys. They're doing good. Yeah, so this definitely helps with seeing the schooling fish a lot better, especially when they're in the back of the tank. Really helps with the depth of the tank, and definitely gives me the flexibility. So if you look up here on top with those lights, you see how we've got them targeting certain spots in the aquarium. And actually, if I come around to the side, you'll see that they're actually much more towards the back 3 feet of the tank than they are the front 2 feet. So that being said, there's still plenty of light in the front, and we're getting that light targeted in the back where we really need it. So definitely good, good change. And it's also been nice, rather than sitting on the lids, having them suspended up is always just nice when it comes to doing anything with the tank. You know, I don't have to just move them out of my way. They're already out of my way. I just pop the lids and do what I want to do. But so you see with the 750, all the fish that were looking beautiful, like the Acara and the Severum and the Angels and the Geos, they're still looking beautiful. Everyone's putting on a lot of size. The Acara, the regular blue Acaras, not the electric blue, they are definitely putting on a lot of size fast. They're really good eaters. Super enjoying them. And then even though they're not displaying it necessarily right now, there's times where the Severum, the other Severum, the rock keel, the orange shoulder are having some seriously good coloration. So I don't know, right now they're a little faded out. Maybe working on the tank, spooked them or not, whatnot. But there's the blue car over there. Again, with the blue car there, again, right now they've got sort of their plain coloration, but man, they can really throw on the colors, and they do look beautiful. And then as before, just the school of tetras, this does the job. It creates that contrast with the larger fish. Like I had said before, it's one of the things I loved about saltwater. You could have really small fish with really large fish, and they wouldn't predate on them. And in case, like in freshwater, most of the large fish would eat smaller fish. So it is cool to have cichlids that you can keep with these, you know, relatively small tetra, and get that dichotomy of sizes, you know, and just the difference between the larger fish and then the schooling fish. All of that, I love that. So even though there's still some work to go with the 600-gallon, we'll see if that algae keeps sloughing off and everything like that, and see if we get some serious growth, because that tank needs a lot of green. I would say with the 750, it's more, boom, just automatic. I mean, it already looks so much brighter and nicer with the white sand reflecting the light. I can see the other back of the tank is the plants are targeted so much better than they used to be, and also the back water column is it's lit up much better than it used to be. Seeing the schooling fish is much easier. So definitely very successful beginning to this. The key thing now is for me to keep an eye on the fertilization and make sure that with more light, I'm adding more fertilizer as the plants need it. Now these are slow growing plants, so it might not be too bad with Jawara nubius, but it's something to keep on. Whenever you change conditions, you can't change some conditions without it affecting other things, so I have to make those adjustments. It's basically just keeping an eye on it, right? So a little bit of testing and a lot of just knowing your tank, interacting with your tank, and keeping an eye on it. So that completes lighting projects, but we have big projects going on with the 3,000 gallon. I don't want to get into it quite yet because I haven't decided what I want to do, but in a nutshell, I'm able to lower phosphates in there, but they still are coming back because there's just too much plant material and everything breaking down. There's just too much to try. There's not enough mechanical filtration on that tank. So the original, we put in more drain, so more water passes through the sump, and that part's all working. The first chamber does have a big mechanical filter box, and it does have a settling chamber, and it does work. It's doing well, but for the load on the tank, not enough water still goes through there. So I have a very, very interesting idea I'm thinking about how to make it work, how to design it, but it should be pretty wild if I end up doing it. It's gonna be, it'll be an addition to the filter that's on scale with the existing one. So, and that's pretty big considering the existing filter is like 22 feet long, right? So we're talking a big addition, and it's a different type of filtration that's on there, but one that's well suited for mechanical filtration and the breakdown of detritus. So basically something that should be ideal for keeping phosphates low. Again, nitrates are low in that tank, even silicates are low, but the phosphates, they're high. So that's the Battle of 3,000 gallon. Of course, we're working on the tops and all of that. I'm still out jiggling with the lights a little bit, making some adjustments there. And of course, we got our eye out for some fish additions to that tank. So a lot going on there. I want to do an update video on the Malawi River Aquarium, something where I get a lot of good footage, not just vlog style, but just something to appreciate how beautiful those fish are and document them where they're still small because they're growing fast. And also get some better footage of the Synodontis catfish, since they're usually scurrying about underneath all that structure that's in there. And then we got to do a follow-up on Predator Bay because there's been some change there. There is a new fish that's been there for probably like 2 or 3 months now, but I've never shown them off. And also want to go through and show how I do the feeding for sharks and rays in detail, how I do the supplementation, everything like that, how we keep those fish healthy. So lots going on in the near future, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.